The warm orange glow of sunset bathed the quaint village nestled among the pine-covered hills of northern Maine. Jack, a strapping 25-year-old mechanic, wiped the grease from his hands after a long day fixing logging trucks and tractors. He waved goodbye to Earl, the grizzled old shop owner, and set off down the dusty road towards home. As he strolled along, hands in his pockets and whistling an old country tune, something strange caught his eye. A shimmering light, like a dancing aurora, emanated from behind a copse of trees at the edge of Deacon's fallow cornfield. Curiosity piqued, Jack veered off the path to investigate. Rounding an ancient, gnarled oak, Jack froze, jaw hanging open in amazement. There in the clearing stood the most stunningly beautiful woman he had ever seen. Tall and lithe, with platinum hair cascading past her shoulders and eyes of piercing sapphire blue. Her appearance was mesmerizing, almost ethereal. Her delicate, flowing garments were like nothing Jack had seen before, shimmering gossamer fabric in hues of lavender and silver. She turned languidly to face him, soft light silhouetting her graceful form. With a melodic, accented voice, she spoke. "Hello there. I seem to have lost my way. Could you perhaps help me?" Jack blinked and stammered. Soussure, Mississippi. Where are you headed? And if you don't mind me askin, where are you from? I've never seen clothes like that before. They're mighty pretty." She smiled enigmatically. "You can call me Lyra. I come from very far away. Another world, you might say. My transport seemed to malfunction, and I landed here quite unexpectedly." "Another world? You mean like outer space?" Jack's eyes widened with incredulous wonder. "Yes, I suppose you could call it that," Lyra replied nonchalantly. "My planet is in a galaxy near your own, really not terribly far in the cosmic scheme of things. But I can see my arrival has come as quite a shock to you." She took a step closer, eyes dancing with amusement as they met his astonished gaze. Jack felt his heart flutter. There was something hypnotic and inviting about her, something that drew him in. Wow, this is incredible. An alien, a real space alien. Right here in Jenkins Hollow." Jack shook his head in disbelief. Then his small-town hospitality kicked in. "Where are my manners? I'm Jack McCarthy. Welcome to Earth. You must be hungry after your trip. Can I get you something to eat? My ma's cooking up a big pot of beef stew for supper." Lyra tilted her head thoughtfully, platinum locks shimmering. "Why, thank you, Jack, that sounds lovely. I would very much enjoy some sustenance and a chance to learn more about you and your world. Lead the way." She slipped her delicate hand into the crook of his elbow as they began to stroll back toward the road. Jack marveled at her touch, both warm and electric. His mind reeled with the unbelievable turn his mundane day had taken. But with Lyra on his arm, anything seemed possible. A grand adventure had landed in Jenkins Hollow. Little did he know just how alien this captivating visitor might prove to be. As they reached the weathered clapboard farmhouse at the end of Patterson Road, the savory aroma of simmering beef stew wafted out to greet them. Jack bounded up the creaky porch steps and swung open the screen door. "Ma, I'm home, and I brought a guest. You'll never believe where she's from." Ida McCarthy emerged from the steamy kitchen, wisps of graying hair escaping her bun. Her tired eyes widened with surprise as she took in the striking figure behind her son. "Land's sakes, Jack, where did you find such a fine, fancy young lady out here in the sticks? Pleased to meet you, miss." Lyra Lumina. Their visitor supplied with a gracious smile. "I apologize for dropping in unannounced, Mrs. McCarthy. My arrival here was rather unplanned. But Jack was kind enough to offer me some of your delicious-smelling stew." Ida blinked, absorbing Lyra's unusual name and ethereal appearance. But her ingrained hospitality quickly took over. "Why, of course, dear, we've got plenty. Come in, and call me Ida." She ushered them into the cozy kitchenette. As Lyra glided into a chair, Ida shot Jack a pointed look of maternal curiosity. He shook his head slightly, mouthing "tell you later," as he moved to grab bowls and spoons. Over steaming servings of savory stew and crusty bread, Lyra captivated them with tales of her distant world, an Earth-like planet of soaring crystal spires, floating gardens, and technology beyond imagining. Jack hung on her every melodic word, eyes bright with fascination. "Your world sounds incredible, Lyra. What I wouldn't give to see it." Jack sighed wistfully. "Heck, what I wouldn't give just to see past the borders of Jenkins Hollow someday." Lyra rested a delicate hand on his rough, work-worn one. "But from what you've shared, there is much beauty, simplicity, and heart to admire right here, Jack." Her sapphire eyes met his with a gaze both wise and enticing, sparking a flush in Jack's cheeks and a flutter in his chest. Ida watched the exchange with a mix of maternal caution and wistful remembrance of young romance. It was clear a connection was budding faster than August's sweet corn between her boy and this bewitching stranger. But her protective instincts sensed that Lyra was more than she appeared. As the golden moon rose over the pines and Lyra stifled a yawn, Ida bustled to set up the spare bedroom. Jack reluctantly bade their visitor good night, mind still spinning with the unbelievable evening. Lying in bed, listening to the crickets sing, Jack replayed every moment with Lyra. Her melodic laugh, shimmering hair, and the electric touch of her hand on his. His small-town life would never be the same. Sleep pulled him under to dreams of soaring through stardust on delicate wings, hand in hand with an angel. Adventure had come knocking and Jack was eager to open the door. Little did he know the wonders and perils that waited on the other side. Golden rays of morning sun slanted through the lace curtains of the spare bedroom as Lyra's eyes fluttered open. She stretched languidly, gossamer garments shimmering in the light. As she gazed out over the dew-kissed fields, a smile curved her lips at the thought of the humble but charming young man asleep down the hall. Jack, with his easy grin, twinkling eyes, and a heart as open as the wide northern sky. In all her cosmic travels, Lyra had never met anyone quite like him. His guileless wonder and good nature stirred something deep within her, something she thought the eons had long cooled. But it was more than just fascination. With a quaint local, Lyra sensed a restless spirit in Jack, akin to her own, a yearning to break free of his rustic roots and explore all the wonders the galaxy had to offer. She could show him those wonders, expand his horizons beyond his wildest imaginings. The thought sent an electric shiver down her spine. Lyra knew she must tread carefully, though. Fraternizing with humans was frowned upon by her people, especially entanglements of an amorous nature. But gazing out at the rustic charm of Jenkins Hollow, Lyra felt the weight of her centuries, of the lonely distances between stars. Maybe it was time to throw caution to the cosmic winds and embrace a chance at connection, no matter how fleeting. Her musings were interrupted by a soft knock at the door. "Lyra, you decent?" She chuckled at the quaint colloquialism. "Yes, Jack, come in." The door creaked open and Jack stepped inside, hair still mussed from sleep. In the morning light, Lyra drank in the defined muscles of his arms, the strong cut of his jaw. He may be a small-town boy, but a handsome one indeed. "Mornin', Lyra. I hope you slept well." Ma's frying up bacon and pancakes, a farm breakfast fit for a queen. His eyes twinkled playfully. Lyra feigned a regal air. "How delightful! A repast befitting an interstellar ambassador such as myself." They both broke into grins at the playful exchange. Jack offered his elbow. "May I escort Her Highness to the dining hall?" Lyra giggled, a sound like starlight on crystal, and slid her arm through his. "But of course, my gallant guide." As they walked down the hall, she marveled at how such simple banter with this unassuming human filled her with more joy and lightness than she had felt in eons. Her spirit lifted like a butterfly taking flight. Over a hearty country breakfast, Lyra peppered the McCarthys with questions about life in Jenkins Hollow, listening raptly to tales of town dances, fishing trips, and Jack's uncanny gift for fixing anything with an engine. In turn, she regaled them with stories of intergalactic diplomacy and the cosmic wonders she had witnessed. But she saved her most tantalizing tales for Jack alone as he showed her around the farm, marveling at the towering pine forests and glittering streams as if seeing them for the first time through her eyes. As they wandered, A powerful connection flowered. A meeting of hearts and minds from opposite sides of the galaxy. Under a shady oak, Lyra turned to Jack, eyes suddenly serious. "What if I told you that you could see those wonders too, Jack? The diamond caverns of Altair Prime, the singing crystal mountains of Luminos, the star-dappled skies of 1,000 worlds. All you would have to do is come with me." She held out a hand, both invitation and promise. Jack swallowed hard, a war between trepidation and longing raging in his heart. The sincerity and yearning in her sapphire eyes decided him. Slowly, tremulously, he reached out and clasped her hand, accepting all she offered. "I'll go anywhere with you, Lyra." Their lips met, a kiss flavored with stardust and possibility. There beneath the ancient oak, two hearts, human and alien, entwined by the mysteries of the cosmos. But even as they lost themselves in the sweetness of their embrace, Lyra knew their love would come at a steep price. Was she willing to pay it? Was he? Only the stars knew for sure. Lyra drew back from Jack's fervent embrace, sapphire eyes clouded with worry. As much as her heart sang at his acceptance of her invitation, her logical mind knew the risks, for both of them. "Jack, before we go any further, there are things you must understand. My people have rules, strict edicts against entanglements with less advanced species. If we are discovered, the consequences could be dire." Jack tightened his arms around her slender waist, hazel eyes flashing with stubborn determination. "I don't care about any dang rules, Lyra. These past few days with you have been the most amazing of my life. I'd risk anything to be with you, to see the wonders you've shown me." He pressed his calloused hand to her porcelain cheek. "I may just be a small-town grease monkey, but I know what I feel for you is real. It's the realest thing I've ever felt. And if I've learned anything from you, it's that life's true adventure is in following your heart, no matter where it leads." Lyra sighed, caught between sweet exhilaration and caution. Her delicate fingers traced the strong line of his jaw as her eyes searched his. "Oh, Jack, what you stir in me is unlike anything I have ever known. The thought of returning to the stars without you fills me with such emptiness. But I fear that my path would bring you pain, make you an outcast from all you know." Jack kissed the tip of her nose, eyes crinkling with affection. "Darlin', you're worth a little pain or scandal. Heck, folks already think I'm a bit of an odd duck around here with all my dreams and such. What's one more thing?" He took her hands, resolute. "I'd rather be an outcast with you than live a lifetime wondering what if. I'm all in, Lyra, come what may. To the stars and back again." Gazing into his earnest, loving face, Lyra felt the last of her resistance crumble. He was right, some connections were worth any risk, any price. Rules be damned. Her heart had found its true match in this unassuming earthling. She sighed in surrender, a joyful, ardent sound. "Then let the consequences fall where they may. I cannot imagine the vastness of space without you by my side." In a twinkling, she stepped back and pulled a small opalescent disk from the folds of her gown. It pulsed with otherworldly light as she took Jack's hand and placed it on the glimmering surface. "First stop, anywhere and everywhere, my love," she whispered. There was a blinding flash, a swirling of celestial mist, and the two lovers vanished. Only a shimmering afterglow remained, resplendent in the ancient oak's greening branches. From the farmhouse steps, Ida McCarthy shielded her eyes against the momentary flare, then stared wistfully at the settling stardust. She had seen the writing on the wall, sensed the shifting of her son's stars the moment Lyra had first appeared. Now he was out there living the adventure he had always dreamed of. "Godspeed, my wild boy," she whispered to the wind, a mother's prayer. "May your heart guide you well." At the shop in town, Earl paused, chalk raised above the work roster, a strange feeling washing over him. After a long moment, he shook his grizzled head sadly and erased Jack's name from the board. Somehow, he knew the young man would not be returning to his provincial life. The stars had called him home. Out in the vast, glittering expanse, Lyra and Jack soared hand in hand, hearts and spirits aloft with joy and wonder. Any fear or doubt was left far behind. a distant memory amid the cosmic splendor unfurling before them. This was where they belonged, in the endless night skies, celestial winds ruffling their hair. Two souls merged into one destiny, tracing the eternal celestial dance. To new horizons, 1 Earth year later, the luminous cascade of a meteor shower painted the night sky above Jenkins Hollow, celestial fireworks heralding the anniversary of a most unusual union. On a grassy hill overlooking the dozing village, an even more extraordinary sight appeared in a burst of shimmering stardust. Lyra and Jack materialized, hands entwined, skin glowing with the celestial energies of their travels. Gone were Jack's oil-stained coveralls and work boots, replaced by sleek, shimmering garments that seemed spun from the very light of distant galaxies. His eyes too shone with the wisdom and wonder of one who had seen the far corners of the cosmos, so much more than the humble mechanic who had departed. Lyra, resplendent as ever in her gossamer gown, gazed up at him with affectionate pride, love transcending the eons in her smile. With a delicate touch, she pulled him down into the soft grass, snuggling into his strong embrace as they marveled at the meteor-strewn sky, so provincial compared to the celestial wonders they had witnessed. So much has changed, Jack mused, voice husky with memory and emotion. The pull of this place, of my old life, feels so distant now, like a half-remembered dream. Lyra sighed contentedly, head on his chest. You've grown beyond the borders of one world, my love. The stardust flows through your veins now. But I thought you might wish to see your roots again, to remember how far you've come. Jack chuckled wryly. Hard to forget when you're dodging the Lumino Star Patrol or brokering peace treaties between warring Ion Storm factions. It's been a wild ride, Lyra, but I wouldn't trade a millisecond of our time together, rule-breaking and all. He pressed a tender kiss to her hair. Though I do miss Ma's cooking sometimes. A plate of her pancakes sounds mighty tempting after a year of food capsules and hydrofoam. Lyra propped herself up on an elbow, eyes dancing. Well then, shall we pop in and surprise her? I can almost smell the bacon frying from here. You're on, Jack grinned.